What's up, YouTube? We're making this quick little video on the wiring on the Toyota for someone that had asked about it. So we're going to explain it in a little more detail. We replaced the stock battery or the regular battery with the excess power battery. It's a D2400. This is the size that we were able to fit, the biggest size from excess that we were able to fit here. It's a little bit bigger than a tray, but not a big issue. And then we had to get the Il Customs 6-post battery terminals, which are super corroded now. But we got these because they're pretty much low profile. They fit under the hood is able to close without no issues. So we went with this setup. And the reason we did this setup is because on the blue truck we had a sound system, so we wanted and we needed more juice for the sound system. And that's also the reason why we installed the Jaguar 120 amp alternator. We only had 2 8s in the blue truck, so that was plenty, but these trucks usually come with like a 90 amp alternator, so it was like a decent upgrade. Now we're gonna explain the wires. We're gonna start with the positive. So this wire here comes directly from the fuse box to this terminal. Is the closest one. It fits perfectly, like the length is exactly where it should be. And then this one here, this is 2-gauge welding wire. It's 100% copper, and we got this from the junkyard for another project that we had going on. We were supposed to use this wire, but then we just ended up going with the 0-gauge for that project, so we were left with a bunch of this wire laying around. We decided to use it on this truck because it was pretty good for the size of sound system we're gonna run in this truck. Well, not on this one, the blue one. But basically we got this from the junkyard off of the Chrysler 300s and the Charger, the Dodge Chargers. They're like the 08 models, 07s. So it's a pretty long run. These actually go from the firewall all the way to the trunk, because on those cars the battery's in the trunk, so you get a decent run front to back. And we had like, I don't know, probably like 5 or 6 of these full runs laying around, so we decided to use it on the blue truck. So this 2-gauge goes from the battery straight to the alternator. It replaces the stock wire, which is like I think like a 4-gauge, or I don't think it's an 8-gauge, probably like 4-gauge from factory. So that was a decent upgrade for that. And then this run we added, it didn't replace anything, we just added this for the sound system once again. So this is a 2-gauge, runs from here behind this radiator support, and then we ran it around the airbox. But now that I'm looking at it, I think we should have just gone through here. There's a decent amount of space right here, and then we could have just gone down to the alternator. That would eliminate like about 3 feet of cable in there. We'll probably do it sometime soon. But anyways, that's a power run straight to the alternator, and it still has the factory alternator power connected to the alternator. So this is just an added cable. So then this one here, it goes straight to the case. So that case has like an 8mm or a 10mm bolt that holds it together. So we just took it off. We used a smaller copper lug that fit the 2-gauge with the smaller head, and we put it straight to the case, and that's a ground. So we ran it along the positive cable behind the radiator support, and it goes straight to the ground on the battery. And then this ground goes down here next to the positive, and this other ground, which I'm gonna explain to you in a bit, it goes down, and then you can kind of see, I don't know if you can see it right there, but all right there. Let me get a flashlight. All right, so you see this cable right there that goes straight to the engine block. That replaces the factory ground from the engine block to the body. So on the from factory, these have another like 4-gauge or 8-gauge cable grounding to this bolt right here. This is a 10mm bolt. So we eliminated that, and we ran it straight to the battery. Now this one right here goes down next to the engine ground and the starter positive, and we went back there. I don't know if you guys could see it right there, but it's down there. There's a 10mm bolt down there as well, and we just went straight to the chassis. And the reason for that is because that's the only 10mm bolt that we were able to get access to without having to drill and tap the frame or anything like that. And that bolt holds the, it's a little bracket that holds the hard line for the brakes. This one right here. So if you follow that down, it's held onto the chassis with the 10mm bolt and a little, one of these little metal clips or whatever you call those, right there. So we went behind that bracket and we just cleaned it up with the wire brush, and we grounded to that. All these grounds were cleaned up to bare metal and then sprayed with some clear coat. Now the last ground, this one right here, replaces the factory ground as well, which goes to that 10mm bolt right there. So it just kind of like curls up and it goes to that body ground right there. Cleaned up to bare metal and then sprayed with some clear coat so it won't rust. Another ground that was replaced is this strap right here. You see it right there. Goes to the firewall, that 10mm bolt right there. And from there it comes to the head, to that bracket right there. So that's a ground strap from factory. We replaced it with a 2 gauge. A lot of people say that if you run a thicker cable than the strap, you get a lot of noise on the head unit. I don't think we got any. Well, honestly, we never even listened to the radio. We're always on Bluetooth. We never got any static noise or anything like that, so we ran that cable on this engine as well. We replaced that strap. So all this was a pretty good upgrade, I guess, for this truck. These trucks have like a little voltage drop. Even when you turn on the turn signals, you'll hear you'll see the voltage needle drop with every click that the turn signal does. So with all these cables, it still does it, but it's very minimal. Also, I don't know if the battery has anything to do with that, but I think most likely it's the cables. And that's pretty much it. We're not gonna run a sound system on this yet. We're not planning to, but if we do, I think we're ready for it. All we would have to do, depending on how big the sound system will be, we're thinking possibly 212s. We'll replace that alternator maybe with like a 250, and then we're ready for 0 gauge over here on the battery. We would love to run a bigger battery, but we can't. If we need another battery, we'll add a secondary battery, but for the front, I think we're good with this setup. And that's pretty much it. Like I said, the only other thing that we're gonna do, maybe not soon, but we are gonna do it, is reroute these cables, cut them shorter, just so they have a smaller run. Either way, this is just like as a kind of like a backup slash, I don't know if it's even an upgrade, because these trucks don't come with this extra cable from factory. We still left the factory positive on the alternator, like I said before, but since we added these, we just wanted it a little cleaner. Doesn't look too bad right there, I think, but I think it'll be way better if we just run it underneath the intake tube. So that's pretty much it for this video. Any vehicle, well, any older vehicle that you would like to run the upgraded cables for, it's pretty much the same thing, but except on the newer ones, like the 16 Z71 that we did the Big 4 upgrade for. Those actually have like a ground sensor, so we couldn't run multiple runs of 0 gauge or even 2 gauge on that sensor, because it's just a small little plastic circle. But on these older vehicles, you could run as many runs as you like and ground them anywhere, because these don't have any sensors for that. So basically it's the same thing for any vehicle. You could do these type of runs. Well, at least we did them. We did some research when we were doing it on the Trailblazer, and we came up with basically this setup, and we ran it on the Toyota as well. So like I said, It's all basically the same thing. Any other questions, you guys could hit us up on Instagram. It's Yonke_OXC Films. I always leave it in the description, and or leave it in the comment section down below. We'll try to get to it as soon as possible. With that being said, that's it for this video, and we'll catch you on the next one.